are compulsory immediately, directly. This is the case of regulations. And others are compulsory too for member states, but they leave to member states some space, some room for maneuver, and some deadline to comply. But anyway, they are legally binding for all of the 27. This battery of legislation affects every sector just related with climate change. And it would be very boring for me and for me to say and for you to hear in all the elements of these legislative packages, but let me underline some of them. For example, the first, the emission trading system is ETS. That is, we were leads in the world to create this kind of system of carbon pricing that is compulsory for sectors that are intensive emission industrial sectors. And well, it implies close 10,000 facilities that are checked, that are obliged to this ETS system. The ETS systems has, since implementation in the European Union in 2013, just produced 152 million euros in income for sending and for selling the rights to emissions. That is a good way of financing economic green transition. Second, for instance, is the regulation on effective sharing. That is a directive that is called for the sectors that are not included in the compulsory ST, but they are polluting, like roads, agriculture, building, and so it creates a system in order for them to contribute to the transition, energy transition. To agriculture, forests, and so on must contribute, and that's why we approve the regulation on land use, forestry, and agriculture. That, among other commitments and obligations from these sectors, just aim to plant 3 billion trees in the European Union by 2030. Renewable energies are essential, and we were conscious from the beginning, so the directive of renewable energies that aims is to allow to obtain 40% of energy by renewable energies in 2030. This is essential because 75% of the emissions in the European Union came from energy generation. So this renewable energy directive is essential in the whole package. It's a tool in the toolbox of the European Green Deal, a very important piece. We have too a directive on energy efficiency that is very direct impact in citizens. And mainly focus put in buildings. In Europe, 40% of energy consumption came on buildings. So we have 4 seasons, we have cold, we have hot, we might use heating, we might use air conditioning. So it's an important sector to target. But we have more. You have very visible. You have about transport, for instance. Transport, we have a European Maritime Initiative and European Aircraft Initiative. Both are aiming to blending, to foster, to help the blending of not fossil fuels in both sectors. It's a challenge. The panelists, I'm sure, will elaborate even other issues. That is a challenge that we all know. And so there are projects, even in Sarawak, that are working on that in alternative fuels for aviation. But mainly too on terms of the cars. As you know, in the European Union, it will not be able to sell internal combustion cars beyond 2035. And in 2050, there will be not, you can use these cars by both directly or second hand before, but the total, the final provision will be in 2050 or of use, commercialization 2035, use 2050. We have 2 regulations on the circular economy that have changed some habits that we are just beginning living, for instance, here in Malaysia, for instance, the use of plastic bags and these kind of things, just to put some very day-to-day example. But of course, much more aims in this regulation on circular economy. And finally, I mean, coal, for instance. Coal is we have compromised ourselves not to extend more coal plants, and the full disappearance of coals in our energy grid in 2050. Some of these legislations, European legislation, has effect outside the European Union, because it would be not very reasonable to allow our companies to go polluting abroad what they cannot pollute inside. That's the reason. It's not that the European Union wanted to legislate for all the world, but because to make reasonable our own regulations. And some of the regulations will be, as you know, the air deforestation, but only more like the EU Corporate Sustainable Due Diligence Directive and the carbon border adjustment mechanism. This one is the, so to say, carbon pricing for imports, facilitating or yes, making a shortcut of its aim. And the one of responsibility, sustainability, is about to assure that companies, European companies or companies abroad that operate in the European Union market, take into account the human rights and environmental concerns on their productions. Second, very briefly, second page is about financing. Well, the European Global Med has a sound financing, 1 trillion euros. This 1 trillion euros, half of them is through European Union budget and through the ETS. I said to you that 152 euros came from that. And the other half came from financing from member states of PPPs and of loans. And, but two, we made it's not an effort, it's a responsibility, a coherent to finance above the borders of the European Union. As you know, the European Union is the first provider of financial assistance of climate change and environmental issues. We just contribute 1/3 of the $100 billion yearly to emerging countries that had been committed in the COP and Paris Agreement. And we have two other tools. For instance, the Global Gateway that just try to finance not only green economy, but mainly green economy, although issues can be sustainability or connectivity, but mainly global green issues in the world. For instance, in ASEAN, we committed in the last summit, ASEAN commemorative summit, ASEAN European Union, 10 billion euros for that. I will finish with very short comments that it is true that global economy is a must, it's a duty, but we cannot avoid that it is to a challenge. It's a challenge, a social challenge, a technological challenge, a financial challenge, but it is too an opportunity. We must sign the word opportunity. And let me, this is my final words, let me put an example of two very different situations, Malaysia and Spain. Malaysia is a big producer, an exporter of fossil fuels, of oil and gas, but they have committed to net zero emissions for 2050. They have seen the opportunity that this green economy transition has to the country. On a federal level, there is the energy transition roadmap, but we just hear yesterday quite eloquently Premier Sarawak, how Sarawak has taken the lead, acknowledged by the Prime Minister, has taken the lead in Malaysia to foster this green transition. On the other side, the country is, my country, Spain, that we are fully dependent of fossil energy. We have not oil, we have not gas, and so our level of dependence was very, very high. Since the case, we see that we just bet on renewable energies, and now we are a powerhouse. We are a leader in the world of the renewable energy, Now 42 of the electricity consumed in Spain is made by renewable energies, and we will go to right to 81% in 2020. We are the second member state in the European Union with more power, renewable energy power installed. And so we have seen that an opportunity now with the new possibilities that give new sources, that is the green hydrogen. In our case, only green hydrogen. The possibilities of that makes that all these efforts has made that not only the country but our companies has been an opportunity, and now our companies are leaders in these energy, renewable energies and hydrogen and green. CEPSA, CAMSA, Iberdrola, Repsol, for name just to name Acciona, for name but a few, has created. We have lost. Yes, it's true. We have lost many jobs. We have sacrificed, and I came from a region that knows that we have sacrificed entire sectors, for instance, coal, and it has been tough. But it has been two possibilities of creating and generating hundreds or thousands of new jobs, of enhancing research and development, and having this opportunity even to decrease. We are very ambitious. We want that in 2050 we could be, if not totally independent, very few level of dependency. We are now 69% dependence on the energy sector. So, briefly, green transition is a must, is a political must, is a moral duty, but it is too an immense possibilities of renewing our not only to assure climate change and stopped and leave to further generations a world with biodiversity and on fauna, flora, and a good environment to our next generation, to our sons, to our grandsons, but to a possibility that we must all together foster in order to, as we have committed all of us, not leave nobody, no country, no sector behind. Thank you very much. Terima kasih. Shukran.
Shukran jazilan. Terima kasih to His Excellency Jose Luis Pardo Cuerdo, the Ambassador of Spain to Malaysia. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we shall now continue on with another session to connect, collaborate, and contribute. That's the plenary session 2, entitled Innovations in the Muslim World, Green Technology and Green Energy to Shape the Green Economy for a Sustainable Future. The transformation into a green economy presents new challenges and opens new opportunities in renewable energy, green buildings, green logistics, green production, as well as sustainable finance.
Yes, inshallah. And ladies and gentlemen, we would like now to continue with the plenary session 2. But before that, we would like to invite our esteemed speakers. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a big round of applause for the Honorable Dr. Haji Hazlan bin Abang Haji Hipni, Deputy Minister for Energy and Environmental Sustainability, Sarawak. And yang berbahagia, Professor Dr. M. Din Shamsuddin, former Chairman of Muhammadiyah and former Special Envoy of the President of Indonesia for Interfaith and Inter-Civilizational Dialogue Indonesia. Yang berbahagia Datuk Technologist Dr. Muhammad Nur Azman Hassan, Deputy Secretary General, Technology Development, Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation, Malaysia. Yang berbahagia Datuk Mark Rosario, Board Member of Petronas Gas Berhad and former CEO of National Innovation Agency, AIM Malaysia, and Dr. Muhammad Abdul Hakim Al-Kandi, Managing Director for Markaz Knowledge City, India. And we would like to welcome on stage our moderator. A round of applause for Yang Berbahagia, Datuk Sri Dr. Vasihar Hassan Abdul Razak, Co-Chairman for Global Muslim Business Forum, Executive Vice Chairman, KSI Strategic Institute for Asia Pacific, Board Director for Bank Rakyat Malaysia, former Chairman of RHB Islamic Bank, Malaysia. With the plenary session 2 entitled Innovations in the Muslim World, I hand over to our moderator, Yang Berbahagia, Datuk Sri. Persilakan.
Thank you. Good afternoon, and I know it's a bit challenging after a good lunch to keep awake. It's always... but anyway, we will start. And I think we have His Excellency, the Ambassador of Spain to Malaysia, Jose Luis Pardo Cueto, who has set the scene, describing the challenges as well as the opportunities for moving forward towards green energy. And now we will continue that dialogue through our eminent presenters today. We have a very impressive list of presenters today. Fortunately, it's only 5, as opposed to 9 early in the morning. I really felt sorry for Tan Sri Wahid Omar trying to manage 9 presenters, which is really a challenge. Now, we are going to talk about innovations in the Muslim world, specifically in the area of green economy for a sustainable future. And all of our speakers are in one way or another aligned or affiliated to that cause. And therefore, it makes it easy for me to just pass the task to them to give their views on what we can do, what are the challenges, and how in their own respective organizations and wherever they are attached to, how they are working towards achieving the sustainable and green economy. So we'll start with our Yang Berhormat, the Honorable Dr. Haji Haslan, who is the Deputy Minister for Energy and Environmental Sustainability of Sarawak, which is taking a very good lead towards sustainable environmental economy in Malaysia. So over to you, YB.
Thank you very much, Dato' Sri Wasiha. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. And a very good afternoon to all distinguished delegates. I was made to understand that we are only given about 8 minutes, but actually my story will take about 4 to 5 hours. However, I try my best to go as fast as possible. I think everyone knows now throughout the world that Sarawak is one of the hottest topics in the world, especially in this part of the world. The main reason is that Sarawak has got a plan on the green energy and green economy. We are the first ones to come up with the green economic policy, and we did it on our own, actually. And what I'm going to tell you is no longer a plan. It has already been done. These are the examples that Sarawak government has done in the last 2 years, as far as the green economy is concerned and the green energy is related to. And all those are examples of innovations in relation to green energy and in relation to adaptation and mitigation of climate change. Well, as you all know, Sarawak is a huge landmass as our first natural resource. The huge landmass itself is almost as big as West Malaysia. And out of the 12.4 million hectares of land, 62% of that land is covered by forests, is covered by mangrove, peat, and so on. And we haven't even calculated our blue carbon in the waters and in the seas of Sarawak, which also has a lot of carbon stock in the corals, in the seagrass, in the plankton, and so on, especially in the northern of Sarawak, that we have not calculated yet. And the amount of carbon stock that we have in the forest is between 750 million tons to about 1 billion tons. So, as you all know, CO2 is the main culprit, together with methane, but the effect of methane is very short-lived, only for 20 years. And the effects of climate change is due to the fact that carbon dioxide is the gas that can hold and trap the most heat. Yeah, and that's why the temperature, the global temperature increases to more than 1.5 degrees Celsius before pre-industrial era. And that's the reason for global warming. And the result is extreme changes of temperatures, unpredictable weather, and all those that we can see, flooding, droughts. And this will be a threat to the humankind, not only to their livelihood, to the economy, but to the survival of the future generation of our children. And also, Sarawak is blessed by the fact that we have a lot of rivers. We have 30 main rivers, in total about almost 300 rivers. And on these huge rivers, we are able to do and construct our hydroelectric dams. We even started in 1985, actually. So now we have 4 huge dams with a total installed capacity of about 5,900 megawatts. And we are going to upscale the power generated by our dams to about 8 or even more megawatts by 2030 through 1, cascading dams, and 2, through floating solar on all our dams. Right? So these are all innovations and also potential economic developments for all those who are interested. The other resource that we have is God-given, is our location, which is outside the ring of fire, yeah, meaning that we are in a very stable location. There are no volcanic eruptions and no major earthquakes. And in the world, there are only 3 such regions, which are 1 in the North Sea in Norway, 2 in the United States of America, and 3 is in the waters of Sarawak and a bit in the eastern coast of West Malaysia. So that means we are able to carry out our carbon capture, storage, usage and storage activities. And in Sarawak, we have 1,665 depleted oil wells, which has a total capacity of about 9 billion tons of CO2 storage space. So meaning that this is another big area and a big economic opportunity for Sarawak, as we can create new economies, new revenues for Sarawak, especially in the licensing, in the permits, and also in the storage fees, yeah, for the storage of CO2. And also besides that, we have political stability, and also we have a very visionary leadership. Of course, before we embark in any green investments and projects, we will prepare 4 frameworks. The first framework will be the legal framework, which we have done. We have amended a few of our laws, especially our land code, our forest ordinance. And recently we just passed in the ongoing Dewan Undangan Negeri sitting, the environment bracket carbon emission bill or ordinance, going to be an ordinance soon, which covers anything to do with carbon, CCUS, levies, and so on. That will be the first in Malaysia and probably the first in this region of the world. And the second framework that we have done is the technological framework, which we are still carrying it out. And the third framework is the finance, the investment, business, and taxation framework. And the last framework is the human resource skilling and upskilling framework. So we have done a lot of examples of circular economy, which is also part of innovation. And this is one of the companies that we have for the last 10 years. It is doing recycling of used tires, because Sarawak produces about 1.5 million used tires per year. And we recycle the tires into rubber crumbs to make rubber playgrounds. And now we are going into rubberized roads. And also we are recycling our septic sludge. We have 2 plants, one in Kuching and the other in Cebu. And recycle into fertilizers and also bricks. Of course, we have bakun. We also have solar and floating solar due to the fact that we have a lot of sunshine. And our first floating solar project is in Batang Air Dam of about 50 megawatts and will be completed next year. And of course, hydrogen, everyone knows that we are going to have two huge hydrogen plants next year, going to be constructed next year and commissioned by 2028. One is by the Japanese and the other is by the Koreans. And we are able to produce about 100,000 tons of hydrogen per year upon maximum commissioning. And we have examples of hydrogen usage in Sarawak, in our station, petrol station, Petros, whereby we have three energies. One is fossil, the other one is electricity, chargers, and also hydrogen. And we are going to build about 100 of those stations in Sarawak. And we have our hydrogen bus for the last 3 years, and we have been also producing our hydrogen in a small scale. And recently, our autonomous rapid transport also powered by hydrogen. And of course, our Toyota Mirais, which are being used by our premier and our top leadership. And soon, we will be also developing our first hydrogen fuel cell factory, producing our own fuel cell in Sarawak. And we will be producing our own hydrogen vehicles. And we will start off with our government fleet. We also have gone into the microalgae sustainable aviation fuel industry with two projects. One is with the Japanese, Chitose, here in Kuching. And the plant is located next to the electricity plant in Sejengkap, whereby the flue gas is pumped directly into the panels and being consumed by the microalgae to produce biofuel. And best quality biofuel is the sustainable aviation fuel. The second project is with Petronas and also SEDC Energy using the pod method. This will be also having a farm of about 10,000 acres in Bintulu. These are the microalgae. We are also going into offshore wind. We have already started our offshore wind project with Shell at the Timi platform, and we have succeeded in producing the first totally green platform with a combination of wind and solar. We also have done some biomass conversion to biogas in 2 kampongs in Sarawak, using the Sego waste. Yeah? And we have gone into carbon trading. We have already formulated our carbon trading laws, and it is highly regulated in Sarawak. And our first license was already issued to the first company. And we can proceed due to our laws in Sarawak we have our own law, which is the Natural Resources Environment Ordinance 1958. Which allows us to do direct voluntary carbon market trading. And of course, everyone knows that we are into CCUS, and we have also issued the first carbon capture, usage and storage license to Petros. Actually, Petros is the licensee for all CCUS projects because of the fact that all the depleted oil wells in the waters of Sarawak belong to Sarawak. And any companies which are going to implement the CCUS project will collaborate with Petros, and they are allowed to proceed with any CCUS projects, and they will have to bid for the projects. And the first project is between Petros and Petronas at the Kasawari M1 oil field. So basically, these are our visits to Norway, to Bergen, last 2 months, Northern Lights, whereby we visited the onshore CCUS hub in Norway. And this is just our green economy policy, just to show you how detailed it is, how comprehensive it is, and we are following this, and we are implementing it accordingly. Right? So I think that's about all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Haji Hazlan. You see, the Deputy Minister not only spoke of what they intend to do, as usually we hear about green economy and the way forward, most speakers from different countries, they speak of what they intend to do. But here you saw examples with very concrete proof of what they have already doing towards green economy, and we should appreciate that. So that is a concrete proof that they have already seriously embarked on developing Sarawak as a green economy. And symbolically, I am a student of psychoanalysis, and I always associate with symbols. Most of you would have flown from different parts of the world into Kuching, and before you land, you will see the green of Sarawak. And that symbolizes the green economy of Sarawak, 62%. Yeah? With that, I will now go to the next presenter, Professor Din Shamsuddin, former chairman of Muhammadiyah and former special envoy of President of Indonesia for Interfaith and Intercivilizational Dialogue, Indonesia. Prof, it is.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Peace be upon all of you. Good afternoon. First of all, I would like to put a disclaimer that my activities don't relate closely to business and economy. I don't know why Tan Sri Michael Yeo invite me to this forum. So that I would like to share my observation in my respected country, Indonesia, on innovation and transformation in economy. But beforehand, I would like briefly to underpin the Islamic perspective on innovation and transformation, which is indeed from Islam that innovation and transformation may be called is sunnatullah, laws on nature, laws by the creator on natures. And therefore, innovation, change, and transformation is a must. There are many verses from the Holy Quran, as well as the Hadith, the Prophet Muhammad saying, preach and teach the believers to engage in innovation and transformation in their mundane material life. I don't want to say to you these verses, but one of them, that God the Creator will not change your life, but the change is by yourself. And also one Prophet Muhammad saying that you are knowledgeable than me, than the Prophet, about your mundane life, dunyakum. And therefore the Muslims throughout history have been trying to engage in innovation and transformations, which reached the peak during the golden ages of the Islamic history in the 9th century to the 11th century by inventing knowledge, sciences, and technology. And in the recent era, in the era of globalization, digitalization, as well as digital transformation, there are always innovation and transformation done by the Muslims throughout the Muslim world. And indeed, the Muslim world the Islamic world, Al-Alamul Islami in Arabic, is indeed the most powerful world. Not only consists of 57 sovereign states, which is the second largest association of nation and state after the United Nations, but also the Islamic world poses at least four potentials. Number one, human resources in terms of quantity, 1.7 or more billion Muslims in the world, and that's why the Islamic world no longer strange from Morocco to Merauke in the eastern part of Indonesia, but all over the world, and Islam has become an element of the Western culture, especially in Europe. And number two, natural resources, because many Muslim countries possess mining, natural resources, oil, gas, uranium, and others. And the third, I call it value resources, which is Islam itself, that motivate progress and development. And the third, history resources, in the sense of the Muslim world has ever, become the holder of the world supremacy in the golden ages. In Indonesia, this principle and spirit have been done to some extent. I may, share to you, like in the field of business, a friend of mine created the Bukalapak, which is indeed e-commerce, starting 2010, to connect millions of small and medium business entrepreneurs, especially the small entrepreneurs, even the micro traders. And now this movement has reached like 100 million users with 20 million partners of small and even micro traders. The second, maybe I can say, the Warda cosmetic, Rose, Warda from Arabic term, Rose cosmetics, based on the halal principles, has produced dozens of products of cosmetics, and this company now has 10,000 employees, and more than the Parogian, because the name of the company is Paragon, belong to that, and also export the products not only to Southeast Asia, but also to the Middle East. So this is the halal-based business can expand. And the last one, in the terms of to meet the challenge of climate change and global warming, there have been also ideas. I happen to be the initiator of the Indonesia Bergerak Selamatkan Bumi, Indonesia's movement to save the earth. And we have been engaging in creating the green house of worship, eco house of worship, eco mosque, eco church, temple, and others. Not only the granization of the structure of the house of worship, but also the surrounding. And now we are working on safeguarding the forest through the IRI Indonesia, Interfaith Rainforest Initiative in Indonesia. Especially Indonesia is one of the lungs of the world in 4 provinces, Riau nearby here, as well as Kalimantan, East Kalimantan in this island, and 2 provinces in the Papua Island. This is maybe seen as innovation and transformation because of the time constraint. I would like to end by the conclusion, there are always opportunities for cooperation, for the economic based on solidarity and cooperation between the people regardless of their religious following, their ethnicity, their nationality, and therefore through this Global Muslim Business Forum, please come to Indonesia. I'm not a minister to promote the business opportunity, but there is always opportunity, and we have be able to transform challenges into opportunities, and this is the solution to overcome the accumulative global damages hit our world in the last century. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Dr. Din Shamsuddin, who very eloquently summarized the Islamic values as well as how interfaith and collaboration can create a better world for us. And also, notwithstanding that many people, they think that following Islam means you have to be conservative and backward. But the fact that Indonesia has taken a lead in e-commerce and some of the micro enterprises is a good example of Islam can be very progressive, and I think that can be seen in Southeast Asia, Malaysia, Indonesia, and other countries here, that we can be as progressive as any other nation. And we can also live together as in the multi-faith and multi-religious as well as multi-ethnic, like the Prime Minister of Malaysia was in his keynote address last night was telling. So thank you for reinforcing that. And now the third speaker is Dr. Muhammad Nur Azman Hassan, who is the Deputy Secretary General in the Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation, Malaysia. Dr. Azman.
Bismillah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you to the chairman for the introduction. And of course, again, thank you for inviting MOSTI, representing here to speak about innovation in the Muslim world. The Deputy Minister as well as Prof. Din Shamsuddin have already mentioned about some of the important, so to speak, elements of how the Muslim world has evolved over the years, even prehistorical kind of civilization. I wouldn't want to dwell much into that because if you know, algebraic was introduced by Al-Khwarizmi. A lot of innovation or improvements in medicine was introduced by Avicenna and so on and so forth. So we have, as in the Muslim world, a lot of in the past contributed to the current, the modern age of civilization, and whether we are able to actually bring that further and forward and leading the world as itself with $2 trillion worth of economy, as mentioned as the Prime Minister just now. So hence, how do we move forward in this regard? At the national level, MOSTI is tasked to actually bring science and innovation to the forefront, and in a sense, we've introduced this concept of MySDRE, or the principles of MySDRE under this policy, where we want to become a high-tech nation. MySDRE stands for science and innovation coupled with economy, and this is important because we wouldn't want to decouple these two. And in the Muslim world, I think Muslim or Islam has taught us that innovation is always something to improve further as we move on. The word itqan, for example, is striving for the best. It's not that doesn't mean that we have to be perfect, but we have to always strive the best. The word itqan, and in Surah Yasin, the ayat number 80, if I may just mention just a bit. الذي جعلكم من الشجر الأخضر نارا فإذا أنتم منه توقدون. So Allah says that in the word, in the particular verse, and how He has bestowed upon us green trees. Just trees are green, but from the tree you can actually extract fuel by burning them, or maybe by extracting them through chemical processes and so on and so forth. That's innovation, or creativity in turning out opportunities from challenges. So hence, this approach of innovation is a standard of our country. And at MOSTI, we have introduced, maybe I'll just share a few of the most recent initiatives that we are doing based on our strengths of the past involvement or investment into the future. We have a lot of this research, and as I mentioned, as shared by the Deputy Minister just now, we've introduced at the national level this roadmap on hydrogen economy and technology. And of course, we're talking about whether we'll be able to be a part of the world, of the global movement to come to net zero by 2050. This is the commitment of the country. And hydrogen is one of the better future fuels, promising to become a very important alternative, maybe replacing a lot of the significant contributions from the fossil fuels. In this roadmap, and as mentioned by Deputy Minister just now, a lot of efforts have been done, not just by the academia, but also the industry players together with the government. And by 2050, we're envisaging that we're able to at least produce, or maybe it's around the figure of 15 million tons of hydrogen, green hydrogen we're talking about. And by that time, with improvements in technologies and innovation, we envisage that we are able to bring down the cost to $1 per kilogram of hydrogen by that time. So this important of this approach, where we are not just doing and building everything. We have to also, from this very early stage, maybe perhaps buy some. So the concept of building some, buy some is a concept of collaboration, concept of cooperation with many other parts of the world that may have the more advanced solutions at this point of time. The other aspect that I want to share in terms of these hydrogen initiatives, a lot of these are in relation to consumer goods and usages. Some of these, so to speak, hydrogen and also other technology inventions are based on very refined technology called nanotechnology. The catalyst that can produce solid-state hydrogen from sodium borohydride, for example, is based on a catalyst that is being nano-sized. If you have this catalyst, then you're able to produce hydrogen in a much more better manner. So we're already now introducing this in this hydrogen-paired electric race car that has been just now being piloted or demonstrated in Shah Alam, if I'm not mistaken. And we have already tested that it's able to run on this fuel for 50 kilometers at least with one very small canister just the size of this water bottle. And this is one aspect that perhaps we are, with industry investment and whatnot, this can be moving further forward. Another approach when we talk about this effort to bring in innovations, we have this technology park in Malaysia headed by Meranti, where we have introduced a term called sandboxing. In sandboxing, we can actually, so far, develop a lot of innovations like in the field of even nanotechnology, biotechnology, and so on and so forth. And this is a way where we can collaborate and co-locate solutions with a test bed that can assist us in finding new solutions. So a tech park, in the sense of sandbox, is one way to go, and we have already now working with a partner country from the Middle East, UAE, has asked us whether we can share the experience that we have journeyed since 2021. Maybe the last slide I wanted to share in regards to innovation in this particular part of the world is the use of more advanced, and maybe perhaps, I don't know whether people see it as a sensitive or something that is dangerous, but the nuclear technology, not mentioning power technology for producing power and other kinds of unwanted outcomes, nuclear technology plays an important role in our daily lives. Do you know that when we export and consume onion, for example, it has been gamma irradiated so that it can last longer than usual, and also can kill the pathogens within it. Nuclear technology happens to be pervasive in many parts of our lives. Industrial technology, in NDT, for example, in determining whether we can ascertain that the pipeline has any cracks or not, we use non-destructive testing using gamma radiation of nuclear technology. Innovation agriculture, for example, this nuclear technology has been introduced in a NMR 152 rice breed, which can be utilized in a very environment that is more severe, drought and so on. It can last long, and this has already been used in more than close to 20,000 hectares of rice field in Malaysia. We are working with the Sabah state government to actually introduce it in Sabah state for government in the next forward. So in short, what the innovation looks like, we require collaboration. Collaboration is mentioned as our two earlier speakers. Cooperation. Of course, when you talk cooperation, collaboration is the way to go. We may be able to do better if we can co-create with amongst our stakeholders and players. If we can also co-locate our resources, for example, the co-location of startups and businesses, as well as technology owners or solution providers from the universities, why don't we co-locate them? We are doing that at Meranti's Technology Park. And the other word that I would like to maybe share here is co-opetition. The word co-opetition stands for It's a combination of the word, this is my last slide, this competition stands for the word, a combination of the word cooperation and competition. Two companies that compete with each other can actually cooperate. That's called competition. One example, fine example is during the pandemic of COVID-19, Pfizer and BioNTech, they're actually competitors. BioNTech has the technology of mRNA, but Pfizer is one of the world's largest pharmaceutical companies, and they work together because they are able to now introduce this mRNA technology to produce vaccine. BioNTech on their own, because they are still new in that regard, they will be taking longer time to produce this technology, and hence they cooperate, so to speak, cooperate while also competing. So in this world of age of innovation, this may be perhaps the forces elements that I would like to present as conclusion to my sharing today. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Azman. I think you did a good presentation of coming from the Ministry of Innovation, Technology, Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation. I think it is I could be wrong, but probably Malaysia was one of the earliest countries to establish a ministry for innovation and technology way before even any of these technologies are coming over now, and it's taken an important role. And thanks for also talking about the collaboration, co-creation and co-opetition. You see, Muslims around the world, wherever they have been very successful. If you go to NASA, there are a lot of Muslim scientists. If you go to the universities in US, a lot of Muslim professors are there teaching a lot of things. And medical doctors, many of them in the US are Muslims. Individually, they are very capable, and their talents is being utilized fully by the Western world. But why can't we in the Muslim world fail to harness that kind of cooperation? That's why I was very impressed with Dr. Azman's thing of collaboration and cooperation and co-opetition, And I think one of the earliest inventors of COVID was a Muslim from Turkey who is in Germany. That was, right? That was the thing. So that means we have the brains and the talents, but how to harness and create a successful Islamic economy, a green economy, and innovative economy is our challenge. So next, our fourth speaker is Dr. Mark Rosario, who is a board member of Petronas Gas and also a former CEO of National Innovation Agency, Malaysia. Dr. Mark.
Thank you, Dr. Sri. Good afternoon. Originally, I was going to speak about the progress and opportunities in the area of green energy and also circular economy, but a lot of it was covered by the Honorable Deputy Minister, what's already been done in Sarawak and Malaysia as a whole, as well as Dr. Azman. So maybe rather than repeat a lot of that, I'd like to talk about some of the maybe decarbonization. Everyone's talking about going to net zero. Of course, for especially fossil fuel companies, it is a very big challenge. What are the things you need to look at? Carbon capture storage, capturing the emissions. But if you look at the kind of disclosure requirements that are required now for the sustainability standards, everyone's talking about what they call Scope 1, Scope 2, Scope 3 disclosures. What needs to be done is really looking at how technology can be utilized to help in this journey to decarbonization. One example of what can be done, particularly when you talk about Scope 3 emissions, down your upstream and downstream supply chains for companies, is looking at how technologies like digital twin and digital twin and also the fast evolution of generative AI. In the past year, just in the past year, the pace of development in generative AI has just been astounding. I previously was CEO of General Electric a few years ago, and one of the things in Malaysia, and one of the things that GE had in Malaysia was a remote monitoring center for both the power and the oil and gas industry, where, in fact, GE was a company that coined this term digital twin, where you have a digital twin of a physical asset, and these assets are all around the world, whether they're gas turbines, and they're sensors that are actually providing information to this remote monitoring center to do predictive maintenance. So you're simulating what's happening in a physical asset, and basically you are able to predict what's going to happen. And this concept of digital twin now is applying across everything. And it's going to help tremendously in this effort for decarbonization, because you can create a digital twin of your whole supply chain, and with generative AI now, you're actually going to be able to see how best you can decarbonize, not only as a company, but as a country as well. So these technologies are moving extremely fast. And I was just recently sitting in a presentation on generative AI. The kind of tools that are now at your disposal to improve efficiency, productivity, is absolutely astounding. I think, before coming into the room as well, I was discussing with Dr. Azman about generative AI, and he was telling me that we're looking at how we should be trying to create our own standards in generative AI. It is, I think, imperative that we need to look at how these tools can be used in not just for Malaysia, but throughout the Muslim world as well. So maybe this is something we could have a discussion in the Q&A as well, and perhaps I'll leave it at that. Maybe one other thing I wanted to also touch on was on sustainable financing. As mentioned by the PM yesterday, Malaysia has been at the forefront of Islamic finance, and we are now at a stage where we are going to see digital banks. 5 digital bank licenses have been issued in Malaysia, and we're going to see very quick developments there of what's going to happen in this area. And I see, again, with what's happening in the area of generative AI, it is actually providing quite sort of a ability to leapfrog from the traditional brick and mortar businesses for banks. So, this is again another area where we're going to see a lot of disruption in the very near future. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mark, for your very open and transparent admission that since the other speakers have already mentioned what you wanted to speak, so you moved away and then spoke about AI. In fact, this morning I was having a conversation with Dr. Sri Iqbal, where we say AI is certainly a very useful invention moving forward, but we need to combine it with HI, which he called human intelligence, not only artificial intelligence, but we need to combine it with human intelligence so that AI does not control us, but human intelligence also oversees what the AI can achieve. And if you can also collaborate that with Islamic intelligence, it will be even more effective for the world, for the future. Thank you.
Actually, one of the, just to add on to that, one of the talents that's going to be required in how to use generative AI, as you say, human intelligence, is something we call prompt engineering, where you actually need to know what to tell the generative AI chatbot or whatever to generate for you. So that's going to be requiring reskilling of a lot of the workforce that we have.
Thank you. So now our last speaker, last but not least, is Dr. Muhammad Abdul Hakim Al-Kandi. He comes from Kerala, India, and he is responsible for the Markaz Knowledge City, India, and I think he will be talking about his practical experience of how they are collaborating to set up.
Assalamu alaikum. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Dignitaries, dear friends. Used to talk always standing, that's why I am here. So I'm here just to share with you some experiences of the ulama activism on the green energy and innovations. Yesterday, Honorable Vice President of Indonesia was speaking about ulama should come forward for the innovation and more on to the promotion of the businesses, halal business and other things. Alhamdulillah, in India, we are not government, but the Muslims, about 180 million in record, or as it is saying, about 300 million Muslims out of 1,400,000,000 the population, alhamdulillah. We are working as private organizations and registered societies in the field of education, human development, and so on. I am the General Secretary of the Youth Movement as well as a member of the Ulama Shura. Markaz Knowledge City is a model which I am going to put in front of you. It is a new project of Jamia Markaz which was established in 1978, and 65,000 students are studying under this. 20,000 Islamic madrasas and 300 public schools and 200 colleges and so on. The educational institutions started and passed out hundreds, thousands of students. Now, by the passed out students and graduates of this institution, Markaz is now changing to a model of sustainability. The real model, how earlier the Islamic institutions of villages all were depending only on the zakat, sadaqat and contributions. Now we are changing to the business model where we produce the things what we use and distribute, make a good supply chain and develop the fund through the businesses. Markaz Knowledge City is coming to the function since 3 years only. The foundation stone was laid before 10 years only. So it's a beacon of sustainability, integrates education, culture, health, and commerce, all while upholding environmental consciousness in 150 acres of land where the hospitality, hospitals, medical college, law college, and different academies surrounded by the central masjid and the International Wellness Center, hotels, and more than 1,000 apartments. So this city, we experienced and we tested many of the innovations in green energy. Reducing carbon, we use the solar power in our functional units, and wind power, we support a startup developing self-running wind-controlled generators making wind energy more accessible to regions with varying wind patterns. And one of our entity, the Alif Global School, designed for natural cooling, ventilation system, and a double wall structure with an air cushion, ensuring natural cooling and reducing energy consumption, as the earlier monuments, masjids like Alhambra, those buildings were using this Islamic architecture. And hydropower, we support a startup developing mini hydel power station, and in biomass energy, transforming organic waste into power, Mazra projects. Mazra is Markaz Alliance for Zero Waste, Reforestation and Agriculture. We produce whatever we need, like grains, vegetables, egg, fruit, and other meats, everything in our projects, about 25 acres land for that. Also, we don't use the hybrid seeds or this type of innovations, but we use the natural system, and we save the natural and local seeds to protect from taking by the mafias of the dead seed production. Green technologies, by powering our future, maximize natural lighting, utilizing energy efficient HVAC system, and incorporate sustainable materials to minimize energy consumption. Our convention center, which 2,500 people can accommodate there, despite challenges during the COVID pandemic, we sourced locally made eco-friendly materials for eco-control, interested to collaborate large-scale manufacturing and marketing of these sustainable materials from interested governments or other private organizations. We use LED bulbs and BLDC fans to reduce energy consumption. And in the city, we use only electrical vehicle for the visitors, as well as other green initiatives like energy storage solutions, waste to energy conversion, and hybrid renewable system, so on, and the plenty of trees and these things are we using in Marcus Knowledge City. Our inspiration is from the Quran and the Hadith, the Islam, the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Islam is always progressive, and the Muslims also, they were progressive anciently, that we have to promote and we have to bring it back. The Quran says, وَهُوَ الَّذِي أَرْسَلَ الرِّيَاحَ بُشْرًا بَيْنَ يَدَيْ رَحْمَتِهِ وَأَنزَلْنَا مِنَ السَّمَاءِ مَاءً طَهُورًا لِنُحْيِيَ بِهِ بَلْدَةً ونسقيه بلدة ميتا ونسقيه مما خلقنا أنعاما وأناسيا كثيرا. Emphasis the importance of utilizing natural resources, sustainability. That is what the Quran is saying here. الذي جعل لكم الأرض فراشا والسماء بناء وأنزل من السماء ماء فأخرج به من الثمرات رزقا لكم فلا تجعلوا لله أندادا وأنتم تعلمون. In very precious and expansive land, we kept 5 water reservoirs to collect all the rainwater. We don't allow to go out of the city any drop of water. Islam encouraged minimizing resources consumption and maximizing utilization. We strive to avoid waste and exploitation of the natural resources, ensuring their availability for future generation. ويا قوم أوفوا المكيال والميزان بالقسط ولا تبخسوا الناس أشياءهم ولا تعثوا في الأرض مفسدين. If you do fasad in ard, you will have to suffer, and your future generation will have to suffer more. So you have to keep up the resources for the future generation. Also in Kerala, we produce the ship running without power, using only the wind power. In conclusion, I would like to say Marcus Knowledge City is a testament to our commitment of the ulama to creating a sustainable and harmonious living environment guided by Islamic values and inspired by the practices of our ancestors. We invite all of you to come experience and visit our center. Our Honorable Prime Minister, Datu Anwar Ibrahim, has visited just before his turning on the PM post, and he had planted one tree inside the Markaz Knowledge City. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Al antum a'lamu bi umuri dunyakum." You know about much about your life. It does not mean Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam don't know these things. He says, dunya things, innovations that you can do, it will come bid'ah, because you can do any innovations in dunyavi things that you can do. No need to ask whether it is not against the principles of Islam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and being halal, we are searching for halal, and people say about the food and the money only. Halal is a part of our life in any aspects of our life, in our dressing, in the sound, in the musics, in our arts, in our activities, everywhere. The halal that we have to follow as a principle of Islam, not to utilize for the benefit of the business development only. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala may grant all of you tawfiq. Especially thank the organizers of this program, the Global Business Forum, and especially the rulers of this the country, the Premier, Honorable Premier, and the Prime Minister, and all of you. Once again, thanking you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Just before Dr. Muhammad Abdul Hakim spoke, I was lamenting about how Muslims are not harnessing their efforts to build something concrete. And here we have an example of how the Markaz Knowledge City has been harnessed and built as an example of how we can be successful if we put our minds and hearts together. And I think we need to really congratulate you for this effort, and may Allah bless you. And we should all, like the Prime Minister, we should visit the Markaz City to get a first-hand knowledge of what is going on there. We have a few minutes left. I would like to open to the floor to any questions from anybody on the floor. You may address it to any of the presenters here. Be brief and just identify yourself. Are there mics here? Yeah, there is a mic.
Okay, thank you for this opportunity. So I think I want to give a question to Mr. Nur Azman Hassan, because I think the topic is really interesting. It's about hydrogen economy and technology roadmap, especially in Malaysia. But I think I'm still curious about how to implement this roadmap in Malaysia, because my question is, how is Malaysia addressing the challenges and barriers to the development of a hydrogen economy, such as high production costs, lack of infrastructure, and limited demand within the framework of the hydrogen economy and technology roadmap? What strategies are being employed to overcome these obstacles? So as you mentioned before, it's about cooperation, co-creation, co-location, and collaboration. So which one is working to support the hydrogen economy and technology roadmap in current situation in Malaysia? Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much for the question. So some of the work that we're doing of now has already been started by the industry players, even the Sarawak. The government has been really pushing for it. So we sort of compile all of those activities and programs, initiatives, and see the strength of the country in relation to the resources whether we are able to do and produce green hydrogen. So we're talking about green hydrogen here. So it's essentially the buy some and build some approach is what being applied right now here in this case. In other parts of the world, when we see infrastructure problem in California, when we talk about mobility of hydrogen, that's a challenge, of course. That's the same when you talk about EV. Infrastructure was not there 20, 30 years ago, but now it's been, we can find fairly easy in those parts of the world when you're just starting here in terms of EV. But eventually, there's going to be some limitations in terms of benefits of certain technology. You cannot just rely on that kind of technology alone. We have to be able to see where you mix the ability to bring innovations and bring economic return from the innovation. So in this case, when you talk about hydrogen economy, we're looking at three separate sectors: the power sector, the mobility sector, and industry sector. So it's not just focusing on particular sector of the use of hydrogen. For example, hydrogen in this roadmap is more towards the use in power sector, not much in transportation sector. The transportation sector is mainly looking at large trucks, large heavy-duty vehicles as a start, because you cannot just venture into passenger cars, for example, because it's still early. And we talk about buying some of those technologies. When we talk about building some technologies, for example, building the industry of fuel cells, what the Sarawak government is doing, we also working on some of the solid-state hydrogen economy technologies, like the production of hydrogen using solid-state mechanism of sodium borohydride technology. So you're doing buy some and build some as an approach. And visualizing the collaborative mechanism, co-locating some of this in some of the industrial parks, or even co-create with this between partners and competitors. So this is approach on any innovative ecosystem that we're doing right now. And in regards to hydrogen economy, for example, we need all of these to come together in terms of regulation as well, in terms of incentives and promotions. So it's not just one party working on it. It has to be well smoothened up by all the players involved. Thank you.
Maybe I can add a bit to the answer. You are very smart, because you could see something is missing there. Where are you from? Indonesia, yeah. Because for Malaysia to go into the hydrogen economy is not easy, except Sarawak. That's why Sarawak has done it. Because we have the green hydro energy. That's the answer, right? As simple as that. And actually, the two big plants that are going to be set up in Bintulu next year, the first two, there are a few more in the waiting list, but we can't take them because we don't have enough hydroelectricity. We have to upscale our power generation to at least 8,000 or 9,000 megawatts by 2030, and even further than that, to about 20,000 megawatts by 2050. So that is the key factor for the hydrogen industry. It is the power, it's the green energy. Without the green energy, there's no point going into hydrogen economy, because it will not be used by the industries of the world, and nobody will take up the hydrogen, isn't it? Thank you.
Thank you. In the interest of time, we are slightly overrun our allotted time. So I'd like to conclude here, and could you please, as usual, show your appreciation to our presenters.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's give another big round of applause for our plenary session 2, entitled Innovations in the Muslim World. We invite our moderator and distinguished speakers for a group photo. Terima kasih sekali lagi kami ucapkan, thank you very much, Alhamdulillah, kepada yang berbahagia Datuk Sri Dr. Bashir Hassan Abdul Razak as the moderator, and our speakers. A round of applause for each and every one of them. The Honorable Dr. Haji Hazlan bin Abang Haji Hipni, Yang berbahagia Profesor Dr. M. Din Shamsuddin, yang berbahagia Datuk Technologist Dr. Muhammad Nur Azman Hassan, yang berbahagia Datuk Mark Rosario and Dr. Muhammad Abdul Hakim Al-Kandi. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give them another big round of applause, please.
Shukr Alhamdulillah. There we have it, ladies and gentlemen. Plenary session 2 for day 1 of the Global Muslims Business Forum 2023. And in just moments from now, ladies and gentlemen, we shall move on with our session 3, the plenary session 3. That's the final session for today's day 1 of GMBF 2023.
وأراقب الرحمن جل جلاله وتقدست أسماؤه وتعالى وأكون للوطن الحبيب مشيدا أنمى إليه وأستفيض جلاله وأراقب الرحمن جل جلاله وتقدست أسماؤه وتعالى وأكون للوطن الحبيب مشيدا أنمى إليه وأستفيض جلالا وأجتاز السماء جلالا فأزيد أسراب الغيوم جمالا وألون الدنيا بأجمل بسمة وأكون للخير العميم مثالا وأبر محتسبا بأم وأب فاض علي محبة ودلالا وأكون في عمل التطوع قدوة.
Inshallah, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to invite everyone to please settle down, kindly be seated as we're about to begin the final plenary session for the day. As we have speakers ready to join us on stage for the plenary session number 3. Persilakan. Please kindly be seated as we're about to begin in a short while.
فأكون بالقيم العظيمة جدولا نسقي الحياة محبة.
Ladies and gentlemen, moving on to plenary session number 3, as we have come to our final plenary session entitled Innovations and Transformations in Agriculture and Food Security Moving Forward. Ladies and gentlemen, today an unprecedented food catastrophe is emerging as a result of conflict, economic upheavals, extreme weather, and rising fertilizer prices, as many 828 million people do not know where their next meal will come from, according to the World Food Programme. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, for this session, we have our distinguished speakers and moderators ready for this session. So Saleh, please introduce them.
Yes, thank you, Farah. And we'd like to invite on stage, ladies and gentlemen, let's give a big round of applause for our speakers, the Honorable Dr. Haji Abdul Rahman bin Haji Ismail, Deputy Minister of Food Industry, Commodity and Regional Development, Sarawak Food Industry, Ms. Diana Sabrain, CEO and co-founder of One Agric Switzerland and Singapore, Dr. Muhammad Anaqib Hamdan, Senior Lecturer of Academic of Islamic Civilization, Faculty of Social Sciences and Humanities, University of Technology, Malaysia, Mr. Albert Ung, Founder and President, World Green Organization and Co-Chairman, ASEAN Economic Club Hong Kong, and Mr. Asad Haq, founder and CEO of Zephyr AI and ICT Consultants, Date Pharma, Dubai, UAE. Mr. Rida Saidi will join us via video. And please welcome our moderator, academician, emeritus professor, Tan Sri, Dr. Syed Jalaluddin Syed Salim. Ladies and gentlemen, with the plenary session 3 entitled Innovations and Transformation in Agriculture and Food Security Moving Forward, I hand over to our moderator, yang berbahagia, Professor Tan Sri Dato' Dr. Syed Jalaluddin Syed Salim. Dipersilakan, sir.
Assalamualaikum and very good afternoon. I should be still afternoon. First of all, let me welcome, we should be 6, but one is going to present online. 5 speakers, very eminent speakers. And I don't want to say much because we would like to have, we have agreed that we want to have a longer discussion time, So I think the topic, the focus today, this evening, this afternoon rather, is on food security, So I think as for Malaysia, we are actually a net exporter of food. If we take palm oil into account, we are net exporter. Land is a big asset. We can't grow many crops on the same plot of land, So we have to make a choice. What do we want to grow, And I think we are in Sarawak. Sarawak has also a very strong agriculture industry component, especially in the palm oil and also in certain food item. Sarawak in particular has produced quite a substantial quantity of upland or dry land rice, and the spices, like pepper and so forth. Even cocoa. There is a cocoa stall here selling chocolate from Sarawak. Please buy some. I bought already, so I think it's an industry that is growing. It's not big in Malaysia, but it is quite important industry. So when we talk of food security, actually what is the role? It's just not having food, enough food for us, because food we can buy. But one of the key element in food security is to uplift the rural poor, those marginalized, the smallholders, farmers. So they should be given more attention. How do you strategize, to make sure that the small farmers who are engaged in agriculture, increase the income, And for Malaysia, because of the climatic changes and so on, the yield of rice also declined, Which should not be the case, Instead, this is partly because the soil quality also has declined, but very interestingly, there are new technologies, which can help us to produce food using smart farming technologies, So there is always a solution to a problem, So we should not despair. So they all have certain ideas, So I don't want to say more because then I take the shine from them. Then. So I'm only a facilitator. So I like to begin, First of all, each one of us, the speakers, will have 8 minutes. Then after that, we have time for discussion, We hope that you also will participate actively, All right? So may I invite the first speaker, the Honorable Minister, Deputy Minister of Agriculture, who is a doctor, medical doctor, So he has given up the practice and gone into politics. He was telling us he has become full-time politician now, Please, sir.
Thank you, Prof. Tan Sri Dr. Syed Jalaluddin bin Syed Salim, who is veteran. According to him, this is the 4th time he's talking about food security. Should be veteran already. Thank you very much. Today we are here to discuss on innovation and transformation in agriculture and food security moving forward. First of all, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good afternoon. My distinguished moderator, fellow speakers, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to express my appreciation to the organizer of this esteemed forum for inviting me as one of the speakers. As I said, the topic of this third panel is on innovation and transformation in agriculture, food security moving forward. Here I am representing the Sarawak government through Ministry of Food Industry, Commodity and Regional Development. In short, we call ourselves MFICOD. MFICOD is responsible in overseeing the development of agriculture in rural economy in Sarawak. Sarawak is the largest state in Malaysia, almost the same size as Peninsular Malaysia. My ministry ambitions Sarawak to have an advanced agriculture sector and rural economy by the year 2030. To achieve this, we want to transform and sustain the agriculture sector through modernization and also commercialization. Our strategic direction is aligned to the well-known Sarawak Post-COVID-19 Development Strategy 2030, PCDS 2030, where the agriculture sector aspires to be technology-driven and sustainable sector that will ensure food security and safety, create wealth for agro community, and finally for Sarawak to become net food exporter by the year 2030. In Sarawak, agriculture sector is one of the key economic sectors that drive her economic development. It is the fourth largest contributor to Sarawak GDP after services, manufacturing, mining, and quarrying sectors. As Professor mentioned, actually we are also, for agriculture, we are net exporter. But for food, we are net importer. I suppose we can also drink palm oil, but it is not considered food. So, in last year, agriculture sector contributed 10.4% or 14.5 billion to Sarawak GDP. Sarawak GDP total up to 140 billion altogether for 2022. As I said, the contribution by agro-food sub-sector is very low, only estimated at 4.5 billion. As compared to our domestic requirements, our requirement is about 11.5 billion. So this will affect food security for our people if the exporting country stop from exporting their product to us. That's why the issue of food security become an things that should be discussed and to be addressed. Agriculture and food security is fundamental and closely intertwined. agriculture is the primary source of food production, so it will directly impact food security. We, as the whole world also face huge challenges in producing food. Including the ongoing geopolitical crisis, climate change, and for us is the weakening of our ringgit value, which ultimately cause increase in the production of food. Last year, we record food trade deficit of very huge, 5.6 billion. We import amount of 5.6 billion. The import value 6.88 billion we import against what we export 1.22 billion. Out of this, 25% we import on food. Food imports comprise maize, rice, beef, and animal feed. Our current self-sufficiency level for rice is only 34%. Beef at 12%, and our dairy products at 23%, which is very alarming. So my ministry tasked by Sarawak government to increase the SSL level of rice to at least 60%, beef to 25%, and dairy products to 50% by the year 2030. So time is very short. Huh? Just introduction only. I'm talking on the policy of the government. So to address the food security, my ministry has formulated 5 key strategies. Strategy number one, by shifting from subsistence farming to modern and high-yielding commercial and downstream processing of quality, nutritious food. Strategy number 2, by optimizing the utilization of resources, our vast land and water, and by strengthening supply chain. Number 3, by leveraging on existing anchor companies and to boost the productivity of the existing agropreneurs. By the way, I'm also the chairman of Pertubuhan Peladang Negeri Sarawak. It's a farmers organization, and we have total 176,000 members. So this is considered our agropreneurs in Sarawak. But the production is very low, so we want them to increase the production. And finally, by attracting global partner to access to international market and advanced technology. That is our 5 key strategies. The final one, by adopting sustainable agriculture and circular economy practices, doing good agriculture practices such as MyGap, MyOrganic, GMP, HACCP, and Halal certificate. That is the strategies. So to achieve that strategies, we are implementing 6 innovative and transformative initiatives. This is a jargon, strategies initiative. Now is initiative, our initiative, 6 initiatives. Number 1, promoting high quality planting and breeding materials, hybrid paddy varieties, etc., etc. Number 2, adopting precision farming and green technology, artificial insemination, embryo transfer. Number 3, implementing modern farm management. Number 4, by privatization of assets and facilities. Number 5, by strengthening agriculture supply chain. And finally, building strategic partnership with private sector and international institutions. I cannot detail all, but that is our strategy and initiative. Inshallah, if all the strategies and initiatives implemented, the aspiration for Sarawak to uplift her farming community well-being and to become net food exporter by the year 2030 will be achieved, inshallah. That's all for the first session. Thank you very much.
Bobby, well done. I know you have much more to say. Time is the essence, so we maybe during the discussion we can continue. The second will be Ms. Diana Sabren, CEO and co-founder of One Agric, Switzerland and Singapore. Half is Singapore, half is Swiss, So please.
Okay. So distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, and fellow advocates for a sustainable and equitable world. Now, I'm also delighted to be here to shed light on a crucial aspect of our global interconnectedness, which is the intricate web of trust and transparency in global food trade. With a population surpassing 8 billion, our world is in crisis. We are experiencing unprecedented strain and demand in our food systems. However, with challenges come opportunities, and the realm of food trade is no exception. The challenges we face today require us to reimagine our approach to production, consumption, and agriculture. The future demands sustainable practices that respect our planet's boundaries and ensure that future generations have access where food is abundant and diverse. So innovation and technology plays a crucial role in shaping this future, from precision farming to alternative proteins. The World Trade Organization reveals that every region has witnessed a monumental surge in agriculture exports, and imports. According to the European Commission, the cumulative trade balance between January and August 2023 for agricultural products reached 44.3 billion in the European Union. And that means in Asia, more than 2.2 billion rely on agriculture for their livelihoods. Now, these are not mere statistics. This is emblematic of the vast opportunities before us as a whole in the OIC country, in Sarawak, in Malaysia, in Indonesia, all across the OIC. Specifically, I'd like to briefly highlight our views on how to capitalize on the opportunity, not to reinforce existing value chains, but to forge new ones with trust and transparency as its cornerstones. Conflicts around the world, as we all know, are escalating, leading to increased food security concerns. Prices of essential commodities like wheat are surging, as we all know, due to diminished supplies, due to embargo, due to many geopolitical reasons. The solution, however, is counterintuitive, because then we are talking about trade, but the concept is now many nations are going the protectionist way. They are moving away from trading globally, but rather to consume and to hold or to take their stocks. So limiting the potential for shared prosperity. Now, the challenges of international food trade are multifaceted. Climate change poses a significant threat affecting crop yields and food production. Unstable political environments disrupt supply chains and lead to food shortages. Inequalities persist in the distribution of resources and technology, hindering the growth of sustainable agricultural practices. These challenges demand innovative solutions and collective action. This brings us to SDG 17, which is Partnerships for the Good. And the goal emphasizes the importance of private-public partnerships so that in the context of food trade, we forge partnerships, which is not an option, is an imperative. So no single entity can address the complex challenges of food security alone. And coming from the business sector, from private sector, we've seen and dealt with government bodies. And what we see in here as what in plenary 2 is there's not enough collaboration at B2B level, at B2G level. There's more MOU signed, and I can say it because I'm from the private sector, but we do not see enough traction, enough funding globally. And OIC region is not, there's not an exception to that. So you must be wondering, why am I commenting on this? So allow me to just speak about what we do at One Agrix. So we are the pioneering digital trade platform, which trades globally in faith-based food products. So in halal, in kosher, in vegan. And what we do is we leverage technology like AI, blockchain, and digital transformation to make this happen. So give you an example, when the Russian and Ukraine war happened, there were governments that came to us and asked that, Diana, your team, can you help us source wheat from anywhere else other than Ukraine? And we've seen countries at conflict, countries not wanting to actually sell to another country. But obviously in the news, you would not say that. But in business, we saw that conflict happening. So the solution lies in country-to-region framework. An example, a very popular example in halal is Brazil. So if you look at Brazil to Islamic countries, they have an abundance of sugar, oil, beans, coffee, meat, and they strategically position itself to meet the demands of Islamic countries. Last year alone, the OIC imported a staggering 190 billion of worth of food, with Brazil contributing 15 billion, and they're not an Islamic country. So we really need to think about this. So such targeted strategies exemplify a win-win framework. Why I'm drawing this example? Because this is a solution on how OIC countries could then also think, instead of being net importer of food, they should be an exporter of food instead. So partnerships are not just about economics. They represent a commitment to building a trust economy. It helps you create more jobs, and it helps you economic empower the OICs. So the Islamic economy, far from being confined to the Islamic world, is a global force intertwined with the broader economic landscape. By nurturing trust, transparency, and shared goals, we can harness the power of this economy to build a future where collaboration triumphs over isolation. In conclusion, consider this. Muslims are projected to spend a staggering 1.38 trillion on food in 2024. That's just a few months away. Approximately 10% of that represents OIC imports. And, Tan Sri Syed Jalaluddin, we spoke about this, and you said that, we import more than we export. And on plenary 2 earlier, there was Mr. Othman. He spoke about Muslims. We have an obligation to be innovators. We shouldn't just consume. So I think this is what we need to do, and it's a moral imperative. As we navigate the complex landscape of global food trade, let us remember that our choices today will shape the world of tomorrow. And let us seize this moment to expand single country networks and build new value chains, fostering a future where every plate is filled and every nation plays a role in shaping a more prosperous world. Thank you.
Mr. Diana Sabran, for keeping to time and also for raising some critical issue regarding food security, especially for OIC countries. Well, can I now invite Mr. Asad Haq as our third speaker. Asad Haq is the founder, president of World Green Organization and co-chairman ASEAN Economic Club, Hong Kong. Sorry, I'm reading wrong. He's a founder and CEO of Zypher AI and ICT Consulting Group. And he's also a farmer. You go to dates? Yeah, I hope you bring some, no? Please, you have 8 minutes. No? Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Respected moderator, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you can hear me all. It's a difficult time of the day because fag end of the day and everybody's been concentrating on so many tremendous topics. So let me start here. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests and esteemed colleagues, I stand before you to plunge into a topic of paramount importance: innovations and transformations in agriculture and food security, moving forward with sustainable methods and using artificial intelligence, AI technologies. In an era when our planet grapples with challenges of climate change, burgeoning populations, and depleting natural resources, it is imperative that we chart a course towards innovative and sustainable solutions to ensure a bountiful and secure future for all. Let us commence by acknowledging the fundamental shift towards sustainable agriculture. As a dedicated date farmer, I have been actually farming dates in my home. I mean, it's a homegrown farm for about 18 years now. The only reason for that is, I'm a very passionate person in terms of agriculture and give back to the society and hopefully be an inspiration for the younger generation. You can do farming in any given space in today's world with the right use of technology and means. So, you can be an enabler, a producer, and contribute to the ecosystem of the world. I have experienced firsthand the labor-intensive yet spiritually rewarding journey of nurturing date palms. Sustainable agriculture, contrary to conventional practices, emphasizes long-term productivity, environmental stewardship, social equity, and economic profitability. The paradigm shift incorporates organic farming, conservation, agriculture, precision farming, and agroforestry, fostering not only healthier ecosystems, but also increased crop yields and improved soil health. Recently at the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, SDG Summit, the 17 goals were highlighted as the blueprint to achieve a better and more sustainable future for all. Relevant goals include providing net zero, no hunger, clean water, agriculture, food security, with an emphasis on responsible consumption, where minimizing food waste is another sign of overconsumption, and tracking food loss is urgent. A staggering 931 million tons of food is wasted a year, despite a huge number of global population going hungry. This brings us to the Quranic verse that beautifully resonate with our theme today. In Surah 6, Al-An'am, verse 99, we are reminded of the divine process of growth facilitated by rain from the sky, producing greenery and layers and grains in layers and the clusters of low-hanging fruit from palm trees. These verses highlight the interconnectedness of nature and the importance of the responsible use of resources. Surah 20, Taha, verse 81, cautions us about not transgressing in the consumption of good things provided, with a warning of impending wrath for those who do. This serves as a reminder to approach our advancements in agriculture and technology with a sense of responsibility and ethical consideration. Now let's focus on the fusion of sustainable practices with cutting-edge technologies, particularly artificial intelligence. Precision farming powered by AI algorithms, GPS, remote sensing allows farmers to gather real-time data on soil, conditions, plant health, and nutrient levels. This data-driven approach enables tailored farming practices, optimizes resources use, and minimizing environmental impact. The integration of AI-driven automation, such as robots and drones, further enhances efficiency by performing tasks like planting, monitoring, harvesting with unparalleled precision. As we navigate the landscape of food security, the role of AI technologies extends beyond the field into the intricate web of food supply chains. AI-powered simulations and predictive analytics empower us to anticipate and mitigate disruptions, ensuring efficient production, distribution, and minimizing food waste. Yet the great power comes with great responsibility. The adoption of AI must be guided by ethical considerations, addressing issues of economic inequality, data privacy, ownership, and the digital divide. Collaborative efforts among governments, organizations, and stakeholders are essential to establish regulations and infrastructure that support responsible AI integration to all farmers. There is a verse in the Holy Quran, I would like to say that we make every living being out of water. Al-Anbiya 21:30. As another example of this particular ayah or the verse, having visited hydroponics farms, a sustainable method of farming that thrives in remote areas by minimizing the reliance on traditional soil with nutrient-rich water solutions, grows crops effectively, conserving water and maximizing yield, self-sufficiency in remote locations, and promoting sustainable is a very, very important topic in today's world, sustainable food production for resilient communities. In our pursuit of progress, let us not forget the importance of sharing and capacity building. Smallholder farmers, the backbone of our agriculture systems, must be empowered with information, training, and technical assistance to harness the full potential of AI tools. In the pursuit of sustainable agriculture and technological advancements, we must not lose the sight of imperative to reduce inequality. Let us draw inspiration from this verse again that speaks to this principle. Surah Al-Nahl, verse 90. Indeed, the Almighty orders justice and good conduct and giving to relatives, and forbids immorality and bad conduct and oppression. He admonishes you that perhaps you will be reminded. These Quranic verses guide us towards the path of inclusivity and justice. It is incumbent upon us to ensure that the benefits of technological advancements are distributed fairly, evenly, equitably, reaching smallholder farmers and marginalized communities. It is not enough to introduce innovation. We must ensure that those who work the land understand how to leverage these technologies efficiently, making the informed decisions to optimize their operations. In conclusion, the convergence of sustainable agriculture and AI technologies is our beacon of hope for a resilient and secure future. Let us seize this opportunity, collaborating on a global scale to invest in research, innovation, and capacity building. By doing so, we not only ensure a plentiful and nutritious food supply, but also fulfill our duty as custodians of this planet. I once again thank the moderator and the organizers of this event for making this excellent and a global scale successful symposium. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Asad Haq. The next speaker is Mr. Albert Ong. Yeah, please. Mr. Albert Ong is the founder and president of World Green Organization and co-chairman, ASEAN Economic Club in Hong Kong.
Yes, thank you, moderator. My name is Albert. I have been in the green industry for over 40 years, so I would just like to share my views on how we should move on, especially with today's topic about the Muslim community, how the Muslim community can meet the challenges in the coming future. I mean, we are not lacking of any technologies or any business solution. Actually, solutions are everywhere. The problem that we have now is whether our government or our business operators are adopting new ideas, okay, a new green mindset to do good, to earn money at the same time, where we are talking about earning happy money. That makes the whole business landscape changed. Green nowadays are no longer about environmental friendly. It is more than that. We're talking about doing goodness, kindness, and with moral justice, which many of our speakers have shared their views. Because if we want to do anything, we have got to be transparent in the sense that we can fulfill a lot of expectation from the people, where we are helping people to uplift their poverty and many, many other social issues. So my humble views on how we can work together is that my experience in the past, especially last year, I would like to share that the United Nations in the Asia Pacific Commission for Economic Environment and Social Commission for Asia Pacific has adopted an Asia Pacific Green Deal last year. And at the same time, the ASEAN chairman last year, who was the Cambodian Prime Minister, has also proposed the ASEAN Green Deal last year, which was also accepted and launched it last year. So the reason why I'm sharing this news with you all is because these two Green Deals actually is talking about how Asian people or ASEAN people or government are looking into green development in a way that Green Deal is talking about policy framework, okay? So the difference between European Green Deal and Asia Pacific Green Deal or the ASEAN Green Deal is that our Green Deal is based on Asian values. Okay, we talk about life above any economic growth, any economic means. So I think the most important thing nowadays is when we talk about how are we going to solve so many problems at the same time, we need to be united and also be careful of what we are talking about, because we need to address the same issue by confronting or with the united stand of addressing the issue with the same meaning or same definition. So the Green Deal is somewhat giving us a very powerful framework to move on. So my recommendation for the Muslim community is also to use its own sound and rich civilization, Muslim civilization, to put up its own Muslim Green Deal initiatives. Because by doing so, you can focus on what you want to do and what you want to achieve according to your traditional values. You don't have to follow like the European Green Deal or the North American Green Deal. Then you can shape up all your policy in a very fast pace because you have your own traditional value, that your core value that you can follow. I think this is the most important thing, that is a breakthrough for the Muslim world, okay, to move forward. I think this is a result of what I have been doing in the past few years when I proposed as the chairman of the Green Economy Task Force of the UN SCAP, because we were talking about different civilization, different people around different region. How are they going to move on if we have so many different differences in moving forward? So working out regionally, okay, to get a united front of what we can work together is very crucial in moving on, because then you will know each other how and what you are thinking, in your region, so that you can work in a very fast pace, and you will diminish the kind of misunderstanding between each other, because Europe or Asia or even the Muslim community, we think differently. But not to my surprise, I mean, even Muslim civilization, we are also talking about green, environmental friendly. And this is really the core values of how even the Muslim community can move in a very fast pace. We are not lacking behind. The Muslim community are not lacking behind. What we need now is to use the universal language, okay, to express how the Muslim community wants to go about it. Because we need to tell a story, a simple story to the world, that Muslim community are moving forward. Okay, we have our own civilization, with our own experiences, and many of the things which we want to achieve with our objectives and goals are similar to what the world are doing, even at the United Nations level. Okay, things are, when I studied about all these policy framework, actually the Muslim community are not backwards. They are actually thinking ahead. So my message today is that for Muslim community, we can move fast if we can come up with our own Muslim Green Deal initiatives. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Albert Ong. The next speaker will be Dr. Muhammad Nakib Hamdan, Senior Lecturer, Academy of Islamic Civilization, Faculty of Social Sciences and Humanities, University of Technology, Malaysia. Please.
Okay, Bismillah, Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa wala. Thank you, Professor, for the introduction, and to all distinguished participants. Okay, so before this, we have discussed about food security and the green technology. So if we read the Quran, we can find several discussion or several ayah discuss about food security. For example, Allah Ta'ala says, "Masalul lazina yunfiquna amwalahum fi sabilillahi kamasali habbatin ambatat sab'a sanabila fi kulli sumbulatin mi'atu habbah." Those who spend their wealth in God's favor are like grains of corn that produce 7 ears, each bearing 100 grains. So the comparison that God's make in this verse is to the grains. So then Al-Qurtubi, one of the Mufassirin, a prominent Mufassirin, says that this verse shows God want to show that the importance of to produce crops for the human. And then in the Surah Yusuf, when the Prophet Yusuf interpret the dreams about 7 cows eat the others, then this is the solution is about the food security. And then the Egypt after that managed to escape from the drought after 7 years, they plant and they preserve the crops so that the 7 years later, when the Egyptian face the drought, they can save and escape from the drought successfully. Okay, so I'm on from the halal perspective. So how do we relate about the food security and the halal perspective? One of the solutions that experimented and been explored by the scientists is to produce an alternative protein. So it can be categorized to the 4 segments: cell-based meat, plant-based meat, insect-based meat, and fermentation precision. Okay, so I think maybe some of us have heard about the cultured meat, the meat that can be produced outside of the animal bodies. So the scientists will harvest the stem cell from the animal, and then they put the stem cell in the bioreactor with the suitable solution until it becomes meat. So this is one of the solutions introduced by the scientists. So from the halal perspective, so this is where the issue comes. Is it halal or not? To produce, how to make it halal. And until now, in the ASEAN region, Singapore is the only country that have produced a law because they have a company that allowed to sell their chicken nugget back then in 2020, if I'm not mistaken. But the price is still very high. For pieces of one chicken nugget, it's nearly 20 Singapore dollar, 70 ringgit for single pieces of chicken nugget. So, yeah, I know when you want to scale up, you need to investment, you need to a lot of investment to make it more reliable and more acceptable to the consumers. Okay, so Jakim and Muiz is already completed, as far as I know, already completed their research on the halal status of this cultivated meat. But what I can say that to make it halal, you only one of 3 main requirement is at least you need to produce, you need to harvest stem cell from the slaughtered animal, and then the production, no non-halal element, for example the serum, and then the product must be safe. At the international level, we are waiting for the codex to be there for the food safety. But there are some scholars that say that it is safe. Then we move to the second option, which is plant-based meat. So plant-based meat is straightforward because we already need plant-based protein, tempeh for example. We already made it for a long time. But there is a technology to make it meat, plant-based meat, a meat that mimics a real meat, but the original or the sources is all of them from the plant. For the halal status, I think it is straightforward. When you are using all the plant element, plant sources, it can be halal. But back then, I think in 2021, if I'm not mistaken, there is one company in United States. They produce pork meat plant-based. So pork meat plant-based, it is a plant-based meat, but it mimics and have the flavor of pork. So this is where the halal status, a halal discussion take apart. Is it halal? Pork meat plant-based. Is it halal? So this is where I conclude that we need to differentiate between the halal food and the halal certified food. So the product might be halal, but to receive halal certification, I don't think there is any halal body that will give them halal certification. So it is similar to the zero alcohol beer, right? The beer, the product is still named a beer without alcohol. So I don't know how they make it, but to receive the halal certificate, I don't think they will receive the halal certification. Okay. Then the third solution is the insect-based meat. I know there is some. In ASEAN we have a lot of people that eat insects, but for a Muslim, there is as a Shafi'i school of thought, it is not allowed. But there are some other scholars, Muslim scholars, that opine it is allowed to eat insect. But for us as Shafi'i school of thought, the only insect that we can eat is the grasshopper, belalang. And in Israel, they have a plant insect-based meat produced by the grasshopper in Israel. And their market, and they want to cater the Muslim market in the Arab countries. So they are the one that doing a research about it, and they are moving forward. Okay, and the last one is the precision fermentation. But maybe I don't. I still need some time to read about this, because this is. I don't say that it is a new technology, but I need sometimes to understand. And one of the halal, maybe the halal problems, halal discussion about the precision fermentation is the production of alcohol during the fermentation. So this is 4 types of new meat that have been discussed and introduced by the scientists that may be aligned with our discussion about food security. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Muhammad Nakib. Well, you raised some controversial point, or we'll debate about it. Well, the last one, I think, is a video presentation by Mr. Rida Saidi. So can we have the video?
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين أصحاب السعادة والمعالي الإخوة الأفاضل الإخوة الكرام السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. يسعدني أن أشارككم في هذا الملتقى الهام الذي يتناول بالدرس والتحليل والاستشراف والاقتراح واقع الزراعة في عالمنا الإسلامي وسبل النهوض بفلاحتنا من أجل تحقيق الأمن الغذائي الشامل. وطبعا بالنظر إلى مجمل المعطيات المتوفرة في المنظمات الدولية والإقليمية، نجد للأسف أنه حوالي 50% من البلدان التي تشكو الفقر والخصاصة والاضطرابات هي ضمن البلدان الإسلامية المنضمنة في إطار منظمة التعاون الإسلامي. وهذا يجعل من وضع الاستراتيجية الإسلامية من أجل تحقيق الأمن الغذائي في صدارة الأولويات، لأن الأمن الغذائي هو جزء رئيسي لتحقيق الأمن الاقتصادي الذي يعتبر الحلقة الأساسية في تحقيق الأمن الاستراتيجي لبلداننا. فالبلدان الإسلامية هي معرضة للاضطرابات، معرضة لندرة المواد، معرضة لندرة المياه، ولكن لابد من اعتماد السياسات التي تساعد على التحكم في سلاسل الإنتاج، التحكم في المدخلات، التحكم في مسارات الإنتاج والتحويل والتوزيع. كامل سلاسل القيمة يجب أن تكون في بلداننا. إن لم يكن في نفس البلد المسلم فيمكن أن يكون في إطار التعاون بين البلدان الإسلامية. لابد من تشجيع البحوث في المجال الزراعي، لأنه استقلالك الغذائي ينطلق من تحكمك في البذور ومدخلات الإنتاج، كذلك توفير الأسمدة والمبيدات في بلداننا، وهذا متوفر في عديد البلدان الإسلامية، وكذلك اعتماد التقنيات الحديثة سواء في تقنيات الري التي تساعد على ترشيد الاستهلاك، أو في اعتماد التقنيات الحديثة في استعمال المكننة، أو في استعمال الإنتاج المكثف، أو في التحكم الرقمي في كل ما هو متعلق بمسار الإنتاج، نوعية التربة، الأسمدة التي يجب توفيرها، كمية الماء الذي يجب أن يتم اعتماده. كل هذا الآن متحكم فيه علميا، وتساعد التطبيقات التكنولوجية، تكنولوجيا المعلومات الحديثة، والاعتماد المسيرات الطائرة مثل الدرون، في سواء في التعرف على خصائص الإنتاج وخصائص سواء الأشجار المثمرة، أو نتحدث عن الزراعات وحتى الزراعات الكبرى وغيرها، كله يتم التحكم فيه باعتماد المجسات، باعتماد اعتماد الأقمار الصناعية والمعطيات المتوفرة، التحكم في الري من خلال معرفة خصائص المناخ، ومعرفة في كل لحظة وفي كل يوم يكون عندك كل المعطيات الدقيقة التي يتم التحكم فيها. واليوم عديد البلدان الإسلامية التي نجحت في تحقيق أقدار مهمة من أمنها الغذائي لابد أن تساعد بقية البلدان في إطار التعاون الإسلامي من أجل النهوض بوقعها، ومن أجل اعتماد هذه التقنيات الحديثة، سواء لأنه عديد بلداننا تشكو من ندرة المياه ومن نقص توفر الموارد المائية، فبالتالي لابد من اعتماد التقنيات التي تساعد إما على تحلية مياه البحر أو تحلية المياه المالحة، أو اعتماد التقنيات التي تتحكم في مسار الري بدون إضاعة وهدر للموارد المائية الثمينة اللي باش تكون في المستقبل. تقريبا الحروب ستقوم على تقاسم وصراع حول المياه. كذلك التقنيات الحديثة المعتمدة من تطبيقات وغيرها، هذه متاحة كذلك في بلدان عديد التجارب الناجحة لابد من دعمها. تشكو في بعض الأحيان من الدعم المالي، لابد من أن تساعد المنظمات الإقليمية والمؤسسات المالية الإسلامية مثل البنك الإسلامي للتنمية وغيرها من البنوك والمنظمات التي تسعى إلى تحقيق أمن الغذائي من أجل دعم هذه الجهود اللي في أغلبها جهود شابة. وأنا معناها أعرف مثلا أنه من خلال تجربة لإنجاز تطبيقة مهمة جدا كانت تحت هيمنة مؤسسة يهودية أمريكية بفضل مهندسين من الجزائر ومن فلسطين ومن تونس، تم تطوير تطبيقة مهمة رائدة في مجال التحكم في مسارات الإنتاج باعتماد الذكاء الاصطناعي، باعتماد كل هذه الآليات والتقنيات والأقمار الصناعية والدرون وغيرها، من أجل أنه يكون مسار الإنتاج متحكم فيه بشكل كامل تقريبا. وهذه التطبيقة المهمة تنتظر التمويل من أجل أن تصبح ليس رائدة في العالم الإسلامي فقط ولكن في العالم أجمع. نسأل الله التوفيق لكم جميعا، لنا جميعا، لكل بلداننا، ونأمل أن نحقق أهدافنا من خلال منظمة التعاون الإسلامي، ونتقاسم الجهود ونتقاسم التجارب ونتشارك من أجل النهوض بلداننا. شكرا على حسن انتباهكم، والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام.
Thank you very much. How much time we have now? We have quite some time, so I would like to open the floor, if there's anybody, yes, please identify yourself for record.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Luqman Hamdan. I'm from Young Entrepreneurs Association of Brunei Darussalam. And I teach entrepreneurship in UNISA, and surprisingly, one of my students, Bachelor of Agriculture in Business Management, would love to ask a question to Datuk Dr. Haji Abdul Rahman. Datuk, how can we get a balance between increasing agricultural productivity and ensuring environmental sustainability? That's the first question to you. And the second question is, how else can we measure the success and impact of these innovations beyond increased yield, ensuring they contribute to broader societal goals like nutrition and environmental conservation? That's what I thought. My personal question goes to Dr. Muhammad Naqib Hamdan. I've been to San Francisco 2 years ago, and I ate the plant-based meat. So please share with me the hukum of eating that meat. Until today, I'm very confused. To Mr. Albert, thank you for your presentation and very, very insightful sharing. I just came back from Beijing and Kunming. They shared how they become amazing country in less than 40 years. But again, maybe I was really confused. I would love to hear from your thoughts. How did China, over the past 40 years, China has lifted nearly 800 million people out of poverty? Maybe from your own side, you have those kind of stories that you would love to share with others. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Please,
maybe 2 questions for me regarding on environmental sustainability. We human beings has to eat, and of course our food is from agriculture, and to cultivate agriculture we have to use our land available to us. So our Right Honourable Premier has instructed us due to our very vast land mass in Sarawak. Actually, we are considered the last frontier of agriculture in Malaysia. We have about 2 million hectares of land available in Sarawak, suitable for agriculture. So it is an irony that why we should import, otherwise we can produce. So this is the instruction by our Premier for us. By the year 2030, we should be net exporter of food instead of we import food. Of course, we must also protect our environment. That's why in every endeavor, we want to cultivate either on the land or on the water that we have. We also have very big area of water for aquaculture. We have many lakes, Batang Air lakes, Bakun, Murum, and coming up Balai. So before we are allowed to do agriculture activities, we must go through various procedures, especially going through EIA report. So it's very important that we must protect our environment. And in Sarawak, we are doing that. And also, before we allow importation of, for example, seeds, now we're talking about hybrid seeds for rice cultivation, we must protect our biosecurity. So, but because we cannot, for example, if the exporting countries stop exporting the food product to us, so we will be at a problem of food security later on. So, but we must protect our environment. This is very important. I can't remember the second question posed to me. Is it, what is about?
The second question, how else can we measure the success and impact of this innovation beyond increased yields, ensuring they contribute to broader societal goals like nutrition and environmental conservation? I think
it's a very tough question to answer, but of course, we cannot run away from using new technologies, including artificial intelligence, because without this, we cannot produce both in quantities and quality that we need. But of course, we have to make sure whatever we produce not only sufficient but should be safe. As mentioned by one of the speakers, we now can cultivate meat from cells. So we have to use our modern technologies so that we can improve the food security crisis that is faced not only us locally, is also faced by many countries all over the world. Thank you.
Hello. So thank you for the question regarding plant-based meat. Okay. So basically, plant-based meat is meat produced from the plant, and when we talk about meat in Islam, we have two major maxims. The first one, or principle, the first one is al-aslu fil ashya' al-ibaha. The norm condition of anything, of all meat, is allowed unless you prove otherwise. And this principle goes to anything that related to food. So we don't even, for example, water, fruit, vegetable, and marine animals. But for the slaughter animal, the norm condition al-aslu fi zabai at-tahrim. The norm condition for the slaughter animal is haram unless you prove otherwise, which is you prove that the animal is slaughtered according to the Islamic teaching. So the second principle is applied to the cultivated meat because it is from the extracted or harvested from the animal. Okay, so back to the plant-based meat, it will apply or use the first condition, which is allowed unless you prove otherwise. But as I mentioned, the names will impact the halal certification, but not impact the real condition or the real substance of that food. For example, if we type in Google kuih tahi, for example, so there is a lot of kuih named by tahi. Kuih tahi itik, tahi minyak, tahi kucing, tahi telinga, and a lot more. And for me, it's also first time for me to hear that. But is it haram? No, because the substance, the element is, all of them is halal. But to receive halal certification, I don't think the halal bodies will allow it and may advise it to change the name, because halal is not only about the element or clean element only, but it is a lifestyle. So the names, the culture, also need to be considered. Okay, so thank you for me.
Just can I clarify on that halalness of the plant-based? The plant itself is halal. It's only not the flavor, the other element or compound used to create the product. So that the only thing is there are only two components. Is the one the alcohol content, the other one is the porcine part. That's it. Don't complicate it, because I spent 10 years in the halal industry. So I find that sometimes we create issues for no rhyme or reason, So the point of halal is that if you doubt, don't eat it. It's very simple, But you don't eat it because even in halal, you doubt, you can't eat it, Please, So that's why you must be very clear that you read the content, and and the funny thing about the halal industry is that we there's a lot of competition, a lot of sometimes even rivalry, between nation, the standard, and sometimes the differences is so small. See, actually, the day should come when all Islamic nations under OIC can come to a common standard, so that we can use, like ISO, and why can't we have it? If even we are disputing about food, then what else can we do, beyond that? It is so simple as that, It's something so common, which involve our activity daily. We have to consume food. So I hope a day will come that we can come to some. See, for instance, Turkey. You know Turkey? Turkey doesn't certify the item or the product from Malaysia or Indonesia. They certify the authority itself, like Jakim. So if Turkey were to certify Jakim, then all the rest, the product Malaysia can consider halal. So in other words, they already have created the super halal authority, in a sense. Please, your turn.
Thank you. The world has made continuous mistakes, and we make sometimes we even make a better mistake, than before. But at the same time, we learned from the history, what went wrong, and we make mistake because of maybe a twisted value, maybe ignorant, or maybe by false statement made by different stakeholders. But nowadays, the world is transparent because of technological breakthrough. So what China has done, and with not only China, but many countries are doing it, but China has been outstanding because they have applied policies into their National Assembly about even uplifting poverty. It becomes the national policy of the government. So I think this is one of the example. What I'm trying to share with you is like, just now I mentioned about this Green Deal. Is a policy framework. If we see the policy framework is on the right track, and if the government from all the world, and not just the Muslim or a Christian, whatever government, seeing things are doing in the right direction, and if they adopt it because it's for the people, it's for the world, then you go for it, not in a piecemeal manner, but in an integrated manner, because the world now needs integrated solution, holistic approach, integrated solution. And there are international laws, international measurement, international certification. China has been following international practices, okay, all along in the past 40 years. Once they joined the UN, okay, once they joined in year 2000 or World Trade Organization, they have been following this path. So that's why they solve a lot of problems, okay? Genuinely, they are helping the people without a hidden agenda. So no matter what, how you learn in the past can apply in the future. So I think it's the same context that what I have suggested earlier. Muslim community has a very rich civilization, history. And they have a lot of good things that are practicing. And what we need to do is make it a policy, known policy, so that people know what we are doing. I think this is what I would like to share.
Thank you. So maybe I can take 2 more questions, maybe, because anybody? Yeah, one.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and a very good evening. I have one question for
can we have the name, please?
Oh, I'm Jamil Hamali from UITM. My question is to the Minister. We've been hearing from the various speeches last night and also some presentation this morning and also this afternoon that the halal industry is an opportunity that you cannot ignore. It's huge. And we talked about food security, and of course it's related to halal food safety. Is there any effort by the state government to come up with, we have DBOS, we have Petros, we have SDEC, Sarawak Digital Economy Corporation. Can we have Sarawak Halal Development Corporation? Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Jamil from the ITM. We will take note on that suggestion because Malaysia, also Sarawak, is considered as Islamic nation. So we, as mentioned by Prof just now, the halal certification from Malaysia is well recognized over the world. So the Islamic nation is our main country for exporting our products. But before doing that, we must feed our people first. Of course, some of the item is for our own use and some we can export. And it's a very welcome suggestion that we form for Sarawak to form what do you call that, halal certification board or something like that. Okay, thank you.
Actually, this Malaysia, you have to give some credit to our former Prime Minister, Tun Abdul Badawi. Actually, Malaysia was the first to introduce the important halal industry, actually, and the halal industry is growing, it has huge potential. But actually, the certification originated, by companies initially, It's all over the world. There were companies, they were certifying them. Until today, they're doing so, So it became a business. That's why it's very difficult to coordinate, because even the mosques in America, some mosques are issuing halal certificate, So even today, like Australia, you can see the labeling. Australia has Australian Halal Authority. That's it, So, and in Malaysia, halal certificate is not compulsory, It's voluntary, So that's, in fact, the idea of having halal is to denote the quality of the food. Not only from the religious perspective, because the Taliban part, it should depict the food as or the product as premium. What I'm going to say is halal. When we talk about halal, you only talk about the food. Actually, there is the halal economy is different. It's a very bigger aspect. Include finance. Included banking, everything, tourism, services. So actually, if we really wish to, you're saying about Muslim or Islam have long civilization. It is perhaps time that we look at the new halal change, because today we have to depend on the legacy of this the capitalist system. We have, although we are all in Muslim countries, but even Middle East, Malaysia too started among the earliest to start Islamic finance, and even Middle East, the legacy bank is operating in bigger scale, because they are not decoupling, from the legacy system, which is not halal compliant. So we see, if you look at the financial aspect itself, it is bigger than the food, sector. So the emphasis, although Malaysia set guideline for Islamic finance, Bahrain also is another center. We set. So I thought at some point, maybe for banking, maybe easier to harmonize. Easier to harmonize. But I for some reason or other, it's not happening. But I know some or other, we'll never be able to create our own version of World Bank, or IMF, until we come to term in terms of getting on the standard, like in finance, for instance. So if you can imagine the halal itself, it's not just about food. Please remember, it has so many the component, and it's such a. I think if you look at the contribution of the halal industry, it is growing, but it can grow faster if we have, you say, about collaboration, so I think if there is no further question, I would like to end, because you see the point raised are many are very complex. So it just shows that the agriculture is not about hobby, it is a business. But you see, the priority in food security is not so much to increase the food, to make it, what do you call it, we want to advance in terms of quantity alone, but more importantly, how the food security also should be a modus operandi to eradicate poverty, Because today, many of the farmers in the developing world have no say beyond the farm gate, They, from the farm gate, they have no say. Actually, the money is made beyond that, adding value, For instance, like New Zealand, the biggest company is agriculture cooperative, Fonterra, because they control the whole supply chain. So if someone said about empowering the farmer, if you can empower the farmer more and more, I'm sure Sarawak, you can empower them. Let them have the say, so that they can control the supply chain as far as possible, Then they can generate higher income. So we cannot expect the yield to be increased immediately, It's not possible. Because now we have to look at carbon footprint, You want, see, we are worried about you want to increase more meat, more milk. But actually, if you do so, then the carbon footprint also will increase. So there is the problem of increasing animal protein production. You increase the carbon footprint. So that too you have to take into account. So there must have to be a balance. So Sarawak, unfortunately you don't have a granary area. That's why I was suggesting to YB, that to focus on advancing the technology for dry land rice. Dry land rice. I think we had to make some effort, depending on the region. They don't need to make, you see, to create granary area, you see, it's not that simple because it's quite hilly here, you know. A lot of lands have been utilized for palm oil. So Sarawak also have large tract of swampy land, you know, pit soil, you know what I mean, say swampy land, pit soil. So that also not suitable for paddy planting, you know, pit soil, you know. It's very difficult because of high acidity, you know. So I think, all in all, we agree that, you know, we have to do, in short, what you've been preaching is to introduce smart farming at every level, you know. Using AI, drone, all this, they all be classified in simple term as smart farming, you know. Only a few weeks ago, there was last month, there was a seminar on Asia smart farming and food security, you know. So there's a lot of I noticed that, you know, I just want to say one thing in parting, you know, that the chocolate, you know, there's a chocolate store there, you know. I was quite impressed with chocolate, you know why? This cocoa, you see, sometimes you may have to introduce new crop, you know, that has higher value to the small farmers, you know. See, in Malaysia, I was asking the stall, the lady who managing the stall, I said, is this a single origin? She didn't know what was single origin, you know. So in Malaysia, there's one, Tansi, you go to Bangsa Shopping Center, there's one store, first floor, you get single origin from Batang Kali. In those days, it was a black area, Batang Kali. Now they're producing chocolate, Batang Kali, Cemor, and also a few aborigines villages, Temuang, all these branded single, and they sell, here they sell 7 ringgit, in KL they sell 25 ringgit. Because of single origin. The branding is, what I'm saying is, the branding is also important, you know. So that adds value, you know. So I already bought some of the chocolate to try. It's only 7 ringgit, you know. I'm trying to promote Sarawak chocolate, you know. So, so please, I think it's very interesting. I want to thank once again all the speakers, you know. So if I were to sum up in detail, Tansi Michael, it will not end there tonight, you know. It's too long. So I think, in essence, the idea is that we have to promote smart farming, introduce high value crop, and we need to introduce more technology. We need to make sure the farmers themselves are fully trained to handle all the technologies that are given to them. Yeah. So thank you very much, and thanks for all the audience.
Thank you very much to our moderator, Academician Emeritus Professor Tan Sri Dr. Syed Jalaluddin Syed Salim. Let's give him a big round of applause, please. And also not to forget our speakers, the Honorable Dr. Haji Abdul Rahman bin Haji Ismail, Ms. Diana Sabrain, Dr. Muhammad Nakib Hamdan, Mr. Albert Ung, Mr. Asad Haq, and also Mr. Rida Saidi joining us via video. May we invite our speakers and moderator for a quick photo shoot.
MashaAllah, Alhamdulillah. The final plenary session for today's day 1 of the Global Muslims Business Forum 2023. Inshallah, we'll see you again, ladies and gentlemen, to all delegates, participants, as we have another session going on tomorrow, and that will be happening at the Great Hall.